Welcome to the Transform Your Wealth and Health podcast, where experts in wealth, health, and fitness help transform your life. Here's your host, Andy Arter.
Hi, this is part 2 of the 10 steps to sales success, and I'm calling it preparing to sell. So, depending on where you're trying to sell, whether it be social media, maybe a video or a telephone call, or even a visit to your customer, your client, you've got to start preparing yourself in advance. You've gathered some intelligence already, as in podcast 29, where I advise you how to gain inside information. So now with that information, if you're armed with that info, you're going to get yourself organized to make your mark. So you're looking to be appropriate to the situation that you're in. So it's a bit like when you turn up in jeans and t-shirt to a black tie event and you're standing out like a sore thumb. And you know what I mean then, if you did anything like that, or if you're the only one that turns up at a party where you're in fancy dress and everybody's not, you're not appropriate. So you need to be looking appropriate and dressed and prepared readily to do the job in hand, depending on what that job is, of course. I prepared a little acronym, which is MICE a CAT. Now, I'd like to have said mice and cat, or cat and mice even. Actually, probably better, wouldn't it? Cat and mice. But we haven't got enough letters for cat and mice, so it's cat a mice. Cat, the first C in cat is for communication. You're going to be giving out signals of communication, whether it be verbal or non-verbal. It'd be great to have every single thing ready that you wanted to say. Of course, it'd be nice, but you needn't necessarily have it that way. Most of the time, you're going to be being yourself. So I always say people get around about 70% of me, 20% actor, and 10% presenter. Because if they got 100% of me, if I woke up one day and I had the hump, I was angry or something had gone wrong, am I supposed to take it out on the clients? No, I've got to be professional. That other 30% means that I turn up, do the job properly either way. So presenter, actor, call it what you will, I'm there to do a job. So if I just stood at the door with my anger, with my angst, whatever it was, and handed out leaflets and says, well, there's the info, you've got it all now, off you go on. Would that be great? No, people are looking for a performance, so they want partly something that they can actually say that they've bought into. So if you're going to give them a performance, a lot of the things that we do are theatre really. So that's part of it. You're going to have to give off your communication, so whether it be verbal, whether you're going to say all the right words and you know exactly what you're going to say in the right order, or whether it be non-verbal. So that's all to do with things like appearance and manner and image and stuff like that, which I've covered slightly separately as well. So we'll go into that, but that's non-verbal communication in general. You've got to get these things right from the beginning. So secondly, the A in cat is appearance. I don't just mean how you dress. I'm talking more so in this particular instance about your haircut or your tattoos, or maybe a generalized overview of your appearance. So that might be a style that you're aiming for. So you've got to get this right for your particular client. So if you're going to a Skater Boys convention, let's say, maybe you want to go in your jeans and t-shirt as opposed to your tuxedo. Depends where you're going and what you're going to do, of course. You've got to get the appearance right. And if you're an engineer and you're looking to do a dirty job, likewise, boiler suit, etc. might be appropriate. Not so appropriate if you was going to be getting up on stage and talking at a major event. Thirdly, the T is for tone. So the tone of what you're actually saying will also make a difference too. So if you're coming over all angry and you're trying to, let's say, give off an image of a friendly or family type company, it's not going to work. So your tone is important. How do you want to be portrayed is not only in one thing, it's in a manner of things. So you're going to go across a whole range, and that's going to be in things like confidence and image and appearance and tone, all sorts of stuff like that are going to come out. And these things are really, really important, but you've got to get them right. You don't have to get them right instantly. These things happen over a long period of time sometimes. So the A for appearance. So once again, how do you want to be looking? If you want to be dressed in your finest suit with your best shoes, etc., absolutely fine, but don't go doing anything too dirty and greasy, particularly turning up with all the other engineers who have got their hard hats on and high vises. You're going to look stupid. So it's got to be appropriate, once again, for the type of work that you're doing. So if it's on social media and you're going to do a video, and the video is about, let's pick something random, let's say it's about makeup, then maybe your appearance on there might need to be without the makeup so that you can put your makeup on. If you're going to come fully made up already, then no good. You've already presented yourself in a certain type of way, and that might not work for your audience. So your appearance is important. If you want to be dressed in a business-like manner, and you have to then get out and get the right clothes and equipment to make sure that you're dressed appropriately. M for manner. So it might be that you want to project a friendly, approachable, but professional image. So let's say you do. If you do, but you stand square on to people, looking them in the eye and staring them out virtually through a camera, let's say, and scowling at them, your manner's not going to be portraying the right image that you want to. So you have to think in terms of, what am I trying to project? What do I actually want these clients of mine to take from this piece of information that I'm giving them? So whether that's in person, whether it's on a stage, or whether it's on film, your manner is important, because you will be giving off a piece of your persona just by the way you stand, the way you look, if you're smiley or if you're scowling, two different things. You can scowl, it's not a problem, but you got to be selling the right product. So, is a boxer who's selling his services going to turn up and be all smiley and jokey? They're not normally, are they? Maybe a WWE wrestler who turns up and starts scowling. It's all part of his performance. An actor might be the same, but nevertheless, you've got to be appropriate to whatever you're selling. So if your manner and your way is wrong, you're actually going to be hitting on a wrong note to selling the products that you want to sell. I, image. So image is once again important. It's something that you're trying to portray. It goes alongside the manner and the appearance and the tone. It's all gathering this whole persona of you. So what do you want to portray? If it's a particular type of image, then you might have to play up to it. Or you might say, well, everybody else is doing it this way, I'm going to do it a different way. I'm going to do it slightly differently, or I'm going to do it completely differently. That's your choice, but your image is important. So once again, it all comes down to the way you look, and that is all down to you. At the early stages, you get to choose. So if you're working for somebody, you might not get to choose quite so much, of course. They'll have set things that they might want you to do and say, not really your choice 100%, but if not, you get to choose. Whether it's right or wrong is down to you. You're setting the tone here, you're setting the pace, and you know what you want. So change it if you want to, but set certain things out from the beginning, certain parameters. Try and make them match what you're trying to do. Confidence. Now, confidence is something that you can portray through your tone, through your speed of voice, and the way you look. But confidence is an unusual thing because it leads on to other things. Confidence is a product of repetition. So if you can get the repetition, so you know that you're doing something regularly, you're doing it well, you'll gain confidence. Repetition comes from discipline, and discipline is a form of mindset. So let's go over that again. Confidence is a byproduct of repetition. Repetition comes from discipline, and discipline is a form of mindset. So once you've got the right mindset, you'll be able to take on all sorts of sales jobs and achieve them as well as you want to. Equipment. Now, I know it's a very basic thing to say. The last thing in MICE is E for equipment, and basically we're going to be making sure that you're taking the right equipment along with you. So your car or your phone or your tools that you might need to do the type of selling that you want to do, even if it's camera equipment, needs to be appropriate to the audience. There's no point in turning up to a highbrow audience with your tiny little camera and trying to record Steven Spielberg type production on something that you picked up out of Jessup. Probably not going to work, you might get away with it, but you might not. Likelihood not. So everything that you've got has got to be appropriate. So you need to have everything looking spick and span as well. So your car could do with being as clean as possible, and everything that you have as equipment needs to be up to date, working properly, and portraying the right image once again. Equipment doesn't work properly, you're going to look stupid, you're going to look incompetent. So all of these things go around in the same direction of making you look more professional, appropriate to your audience, and ultimately giving people the theatre that they want so that they can actually give you an order or give you their cash. It's as simple as that. If you do and say the right things, they'll be more than happy to part with their money. So aside from our acronym CAT-A-MICE, there's certain other things that you could probably do with doing and get yourself organised. So the traits of successful people is probably systemizing everything that you do. Once you've got yourself an idea of what you need to do to be successful, then make a system of it. Try and make sure that you're doing these things over and over again. We were talking about repetition earlier. Get the repetition going. Have tick boxes if it needs to be. Just get a system going so that you're actually making things appropriate to what you're trying to achieve. So some of the traits of what I've been doing in the past mean that I set myself deadlines. I try and keep the speed up if I can, and I try and delegate wherever was appropriate. So you don't want to be doing all the work yourself. So if other people can do things better than you, what's the point in you spending 2 hours doing something that they can do in 5 minutes? And likewise, you might be able to take some of the burden of load off of them, just in the other way around, that you do something far better than they do. So work together with people and set yourself deadlines and try and be as quick as possible. So if you can do something twice as quick, then you'll get twice as much done. So sometimes some people say, oh, I'm so busy. But if they work quicker, they get a heck of a lot more done. You'll sometimes find that there's a takeoff point, that at a certain point, you will be able to move yourself on to the next level. This is a mental thing. It's something that should be part of your preparation, because you don't want to stay at the same level all the time. So let's say you've got a certain amount of money coming in, that beautiful suit that you've seen in the window that would elevate you to the next level of customer, and that equipment that you've always wanted that you could never afford, well, it's now yours, and you can now go along to sell to the bigger and better customers and get yourself organised to sell to those guys because you've moved on a level or two. There'll be a takeoff point. There'll be somewhere at some point that you'll know that I can move things on now. This is where I needed to be to go up a level. And that's important too, because if you stay in the same place all the time, then you find other things happen around you and you end up going backwards without even doing anything different. It's just that things move on around you, just like technology, for example. And if you don't keep up with technology, you're going to fall behind. So with your preparation, it's also important to think about brand and what Grant Cardone calls omnipresence. With your brand, you want to be thinking in terms of where I can portray this image, let's call it, wherever possible. So your brand might not only be a logo, but as we were saying before, the image, the tone, the manner, and the people that you're trying to attract. It all comes in part of your brand. If you're a family brand, let's say, for example, you're not going to be doing the swearing or dressing inappropriately, etc. You're going to be saying the right things to the right people. Well, these kind of things need work in advance. So it's preparation once again. If you're going to have a certain brand, then people will have brand managers and all sorts of things that they use in advance to portray the brand. So think about that too. What are you doing? How are you doing it? How does it affect your brand? You're going to need an ethos. So even if it's not for yourself, it might be for the company as a whole. Your company will have an ethos, and it will be, we will do this. So let's go over a few things. Basically, you're trying to get yourself organised here to sell. This is not actually about the sale. We'll probably go into a lot more at some point of what you're actually going to say. But let's get in mind that you're going to need to know what you need to say. You're going to need to portray an image. You're going to need to portray your brand. You're going to need a plan B, something I didn't mention actually. Plan B on certain things, like if you go to see a particular client or you presume something and it doesn't work out, you're put on the spot. what's your plan B? So that's another thing to prepare for as well. Always have a plan B. So what's your image? What's your brand? Are you dressed appropriately? Is your manner and tone correct? What can you do to get confidence and have the right communication skills, verbal and non-verbal, and basically get yourself organized to sell your product in whatever market you want to sell? So hope that helps. Get yourself organized, be prepared, do that long before you start to sell. I hope you enjoyed that episode, and until next time, start transforming your wealth and health now.